Hello everybody and welcome back to this channel. This is part 3 in the video series of analyzing the poem Remember by Christina Rossetti, and in this video we'll be looking at the step-by-step conventions and tips on how to write a poetry literature essay on the poem Remember. So if you are familiar with this channel, you should know that I have been going over poetry literature essays. However, it's always good to have a bit of revision. So let's look at the conventions once again. So, as you should know, at an FET level, you are required to write literature essays on poems, novels, and dramas. A literature essay requires you to show your understanding of a piece of literature by analyzing that specific literature. Okay? So literature essays have a set structure and style, and it is completely different to creative writing essays, right? So you are not writing a narrative or descriptive essay. You are not telling a story when you are dealing with a literature essay. Okay. Why? In a literature essay, you have to provide your own opinion about the topic that you are given, and you cannot merely copy and paste from the internet. Right? Remember, there's no right or wrong opinion, but never go off topic. So, what are the conventions? What are the tips? What do you need to know before writing this essay? So, the essay is always in third person, and do not use the pronoun I or we or my or things like that. So, you can't say I agree or I believe or in my opinion, things like that. You have to avoid that. Okay? Why do you have to avoid that? Because your essay needs to be objective. Okay, the minute you use personal pronouns, you are being subjective, right? And this is an argumentative essay, right? You need to provide your opinion about the topic or your argument, right, without being personal or without being subjective, right? You base your evidence, you base your argument on facts and evidence from the poem. Okay, but we'll go through that as I go through the example of the poem. Okay, as you should know, avoid slang, colloquial language, no conversational language. The way you talk and the way you write, right, is different. Okay, specifically in a informal writing. Okay, so yes, we can speak informally. There's no problem in that, but your written language in a poetry literature essay or in any literature essay should always be formal. Right? And how do we achieve that? No abbreviations, words are written out in full, and no contractions, right? Didn't, couldn't, shouldn't should be did not, could not, and should not. Okay, things like that. Okay, always write in the present tense. Example, the speaker states, the speaker is referring to. Okay, do not write the speaker stated or the speaker was referring to. Okay, that's wrong. Always write the title of the poem in one inverted comma and underline it. So here's an example, Sonnet 116 by William Shakespeare, and always capitalize each word. Okay, in this poem, the title is just one word, so remember would be with a capital R. Always quote from the poem to substantiate your argument, and always remember your inverted commas. Here's an example. Shakespeare states that true love is everlasting and does not change over time. How do we know that? Because line 11 states that, okay, love alters not with brief hours or weeks. Okay, do not use exclamation marks. Explain your arguments clearly. I don't think anybody would do that, but you never know. Avoid long, rambling sentences and exaggerated, superfluous words. Okay, don't try to use flowery adjectives and adverbs, and you're combining different sentences with your conjunctions and all of that. Keep your sentences simple, right? Straight to the point, right? Your essay must be concise. Okay. Use words like however, furthermore, nevertheless, thus, and therefore to move on to the next point, right? Instead of joining long, long sentences. Okay. Begin your body paragraphs with sorry, begin your body paragraphs of the essay with various transitional words, right? Firstly, secondly, additionally, furthermore, right? And always plan your essay. So let's look at the planning quickly. So, what do you do when you get the essay question? How do you plan? So, the essay question states in the poem, the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward her beloved. In the poem, remember. Right? So, you need to, this is the statement, right? An essay question always begins with a statement, a literature essay question, okay? And you now need to give your opinion on that statement. So, how do you do that? You need to refer to diction, structure, and tone. Right? The opinion, the argument that you need to make, you must discuss whether you agree with this statement. Right? So, what do you ask yourself? What do you do? After reading the essay question, firstly ask yourself whether you agree or disagree with the statement. So, what is the statement once again? Read it again. In the poem, the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward her beloved. So, ask yourself, does the speaker undergo a change of attitude toward her beloved? Okay. So, once you've agreed or disagreed, develop your thesis statement. What is a thesis statement? It's your argument, your point of view. Right? So, remember, you can't say I, and many students do this. I agree. I disagree. Right? That's wrong. Okay. Your thesis statement should either be the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward a beloved, or the speaker does not undergo a change of attitude toward a beloved. Right? Sometimes it's always going to be very difficult to disagree with a statement. Right? So always try to agree. If you don't agree, then do one of the other questions in the exam. Okay, now you start to substantiate your argument with evidence from the poem. How? Yeah, the essay question tells you what to look at. It tells you to look at diction, tells you to look at structure, and it tells you to look at tone. So you're going to use those descriptors in each paragraph. So, paragraph one, body paragraph one is diction, which means specific words in the poem. Body paragraph 2 is the structure, how is the poem written, and body paragraph 3 we reserve for tone. Tone is the attitude or emotion of the speaker in the lines of the poem. Right? So you ask yourself, how does the speaker sound? What emotion? Okay, plan your essay like this, guys. Okay, plan your essay introduction, body paragraph 1, diction. Body paragraph 2, structure. Body paragraph 3, tone, and your conclusion. Do this little mind map in your test, right? It won't hurt you. Okay. Once again, always reread the essay question. In the poem, the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward a beloved with close reference to diction, structure, and tone. Discuss whether you agree with the aforementioned statement in an essay of 250 to 300 words. So, introduction. Sentence 1, provide a definition of a term in the essay question. So, I'm going to define change. The term change is defined as the act or the process of something becoming different. Sentence 2, summarize the poem. Okay? But also state the name of the poem and state the poet. In the poem Remember by Christina Rossetti, the speaker reveals reasons why she wants to be both remembered and forgotten by beloved. And I'm just going to write here after death. Right? Sentence 3, tell the reader what your essay will entail by stating what your thesis statement is. Now, many teachers will disagree with this. Some say you can write this, some say you can't. But I say do this, okay? Because it will give a clear indication for the marker what your essay is going to be about and what they need to look for. So, here you are stating the following essay discusses how the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward her beloved. Okay, so remember. Okay, I just want to do this. Okay. So, body paragraph 1, we're referring to diction, specific words. Diction refers to specific words in the poem. I just said that. So, remember what your argument is. You need to prove to the reader that the speaker undergoes a change of attitude to a beloved. This means that you will need to quote from the poem to support your argument, which words tell us that the speaker changes her attitude, right? So you would quote certain words for one attitude and certain words for a change in the attitude. Then remember, as always, you end off the paragraph by restating your argument and adding a substantiation. Right? What is the link to the paragraph? Firstly, remember you start with a transitional word. Firstly, the speaker uses the repetition of the pronouns I and me throughout lines 1 to 8 to emphasize her selfish fear of being forgotten and not being loved by her beloved. I'm just going to add this again. After death. So remember, learners, right? I and me, right? That is your example of diction, right? We're quoting this from the poem. But now we need to, the essay question is asking us for a change of attitude. So now we need to have a change in diction. So, however, in lines 9 to 14, the speaker uses the repetition of the pronoun you. Right? So the speaker first has said I, and me, and now she says you and you. Right? To shift the focus from herself to her beloved, as she does not want him to feel guilty if she fades from his memory. Okay, so understand the from the essay question. Right? Okay. And remember, we also see as our thesis statement here in the beginning. Right? So, therefore, it is evident that the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward a beloved because the speaker accepts that accepts her death, apologies for that mistake, accepts her death and does not want the beloved to be unhappy. Okay, and I would say, when remembering okay, cool. Let's continue. Structure. Now, structure refers to how is the poem written, right? What style did the speaker use when writing this poem? We know this poem is an Italian sonnet, and Italian sonnets uses a specific structure, right? But if this was a different poem, you would look at the rhyme scheme, or you would look at um, the enjambment, right? Or you would look at how many lines are in the poem and why, right? What why are the stanzas the same or different or things like that, right? Ultimately, just look at how is the poem written, right? What did the writer use, right? Okay, and then you need to highlight and explain the devices the poet used when writing the poem. So we know an Italian sonnet, right? Okay, it makes use of, let me just see, an octave and a sestet, and within that poem there's a vaulter. So these are some of the terms that you need to familiarize yourself with. Okay, so secondly, the poem is written. Now look here. Secondly, firstly was my first transitional word for body paragraph 1. I'm now about body paragraph 2, and I started with secondly. And don't forget your comma. The poem is written as an Italian sonnet, and Italian sonnets are structured to present one idea or problem in the octave. So remember, lines 1 to 8 have one idea, right? Remember, in our video 1, I explained this in the series, and a resolution to the idea or problem in the sestet. So lines 1 to 8 will say one thing, and line 1 to 8 will say one thing in the octave, and lines 9 to 14 will say another thing in the sestet. In other words, there will be a resolution to that problem, okay, or idea. It's not always going to be a problem. So, in this poem, the speaker is selfish and desires to live in her beloved's memory after death, and this is in the octave, right? Right. However, in the use of the term yet, the use of the term yet reveals the speaker's vault that actually shifts. Now, vault means shift, okay? And now, line 9 will always be a change, all right? A change in idea. As she shifts her initial idea to wanting to be remembered. Therefore, it is evident that the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward the beloved because, in the sestet, the speaker reveals that it is best to put her concern over beloved's well being above her own desire to be remembered. Okay, and in body paragraph 3, we're going to start this with additionally. So now we're going to look at tone. Tone, as I explained, what is the speaker's attitude? What is the emotion when you read the poem? Now we know that there are two main emotions, two differences, right? Why? Because the poem's initial tone is commanding. As she says, remember me, and she gives the reasons why she wants to be remembered in the octave. However, right, remember there's a shift. In the sestet, the speaker realizes that wanting a beloved to continuously remember her will not allow him to live a fulfilled life. So imagine you are moving on and your lover has died. So how are you going to move on? How are you going to live a fulfilled life or happy life if you're going to continuously remember that person and hold them? If you can hold them very close to your heart, but I mean, at some stage you need to move on with your life, right? And that is what the speaker realizes, okay? Because her tone shifts to one of acceptance. And now we restate our thesis statement. Therefore, it is evident that the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward the beloved because the speaker would rather have her beloved, forget her and be happy than have him remember her and be sad. Okay, conclusion. We start our conclusion with in conclusion. We restate our thesis statement. It is evident by the aforementioned information that the speaker undergoes a change of attitude toward the beloved. And then it's always nice to add a message at the end of your essay. Right? The poem teaches readers that although loved ones should be remembered after they have passed, there should also be acceptance in death, as individuals should not allow death to dictate their lives. Okay, so thank you for tuning in, everybody, and I hope that you will do very well. If this poem comes up in the exam, I hope you learned a lot from me in this video series for Remember. And continue to like, subscribe, and share. Share to all the grade 12s who are in need of additional assistance. And I'll see you soon over in the next video.